Welcome to Words of Wisdom from Kick-Ass Women.
Stories and advice about moving forward, punching through that glass ceiling, pushing harder, and blazing trails from women we really admire.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another fabulous episode of Words of Wisdom from Kick-Ass Women. I am Liz Brohan, and I'm relatively on my own today, but as you'll see in a moment, that's really not true. So Mary Olivieri was unable to join us today, so I have somebody here who I'm so excited can join in the conversation. I have a very special guest host, Dorothy Rosen, and I'm going to brag about her for a minute, okay? We go back a long way. But she is the co-founder of an amazing organization called Women Belong. And this is a networking organization that really supports women on so many levels. But one of those levels is how to grow business, right? And how to really network with other women so that you can learn from them and do amazing things. So Dorothy, I'm just going to thank you for doing that. It's really cool. Did I say it was global? It's global, people.
Galactic, for God's
Galactic.
sakes. Right? Don't know what it means, but Artemis, watch out.
Yeah. So I'm happy to tell you all that Dorothy is actually very close with our guest today. And we're going to talk about a concept here that sounds simple when you first kind of say it to yourself, but actually there's a lot of layers that we're going to unpack to this because it can really help you change your life. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to show up and say yes, right? And with us today is Jennifer Parks, and Jennifer is the executive director of Habitat for Humanity Chicago. That is impressive.
Well, first of all, thank you, Liz, and thank you, Dorothy, for having me here today. I'm excited.
And welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited for the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and this topic was your idea. So I just got to say, I love it. I think we spend our entire life telling ourselves we got to show up and say yes. But you've got real meaning and purpose to it. So let's start there. What was the first thing that happened in your life that you said, yeah, I'm happy I showed up and said yes?
You know, when I think about, the many experiences we've all had in life, one of the seminal ones for me goes all the way back to college. I went to school at Marquette University, and I was an anthropology and history major, knowing that I was not going to go into anthropology and history.
Pre-unemployment,
Right, exactly. Yeah. What am I going to do with this? And someone invited me to go out and do a day of volunteering in Milwaukee. And as a student group, we went out and we spent the day in community and using our hands and working in a neighborhood. And it just kind of sparked this, moment of possibility of like, I like this. Like, this was a good use. I got to use my body. I got to be out and meet neighbors in the community. And it really sparked this like, oh, I can step out and do something that I don't know anything about into a neighborhood I've never been to before. And I can, put myself to use helping some other folks.
And you found it was very fulfilling.
Exactly. And so then it ended up being like this moment that I captured and remembered and thought, when I started moving out into the work world, I was like, okay, well, how do I capture that? I had friends going into the corporate world. Great. My parents were teachers. I wasn't going to follow that. Great. How do I continue to be of service became the question for me.
So tell us how it all started then. You didn't just start with Habitat, right?
Pretty much
Oh,
did.
you did?
Yeah.
There you go.
I know. So I didn't, much like many people, I didn't really know what Habitat was at the time. It was the 1900s, as I like to call them, the 1990s. And I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. And I heard of this organization, and I applied to be a volunteer there for a year and moved to rural Southwest Georgia and volunteered working for Habitat for Humanity. That was my first gig out of college.
Oh, that is so cool. And that's brave.
You have no idea, Liz. Have you been on a Habitat
I
website?
have not. Tell me about it.
I just have to say that what Jen and her team does is absolutely fabulous. It is amazing. It's amazing what the Women Build initiative for Chicago Habitat. It's women coming together. I think you're going to have over 750 women this year.
Correct.
On site building.
Wow.
We at Women Belong have 2 teams. I've been doing this for 6 years now, going on site. There is nothing like this because understanding
this
what
is
this
important.
means for building generational wealth for women, it's life transforming for them, but also for us who are builders.
Okay, so tell us, let's define what Women Build is. Is it just a day or is it really?
It's a month.
It is a month in
is?
Chicago.
Okay.
It's a month.
Yeah, Jen, tell us.
So, Habitat for Humanity, many years ago, several decades ago, out of Charlotte, North Carolina, actually, had the very first Women Build ever. And so it's the concept of women coming together to support women who are pursuing the homeownership journey and helping to ensure that they have access to affordable loans. Women have, there's uneven caregiving responsibilities. Women are not paid. There's a gender pay gap that exists.
For sure.
Even though
Mortgage approval.
women are very responsible with their money, right? So how do we make sure that we can get them into affordable homeownership? And so it's women who come out and build with us, raising money to help fund the homes that we're building, as well as coming out and swinging a hammer, putting up siding, raising roof trusses.
It's
all
very
that.
cool.
Snapping chalk lines. I'm really good at snapping chalk lines.
Okay, then.
It is oddly satisfying.
It's the best job.
Yes.
None of us know what that means,
Right,
but
so
we'll
there's
believe her.
There's a string with some chalk on it, and when you're trying to figure out how to cut a piece of wood, you snap the chalk so you know where to cut.
Clever.
You learn a lot of skills.
So now if you get 750 women out on a job site, how many houses are you going to build?
So this year we'll be in a neighborhood called West Pullman, where we're going to be building between 4 and 8 homes there.
crazy.
And we don't necessarily build the entire home in the month, but it is really about advancing construction. And you can imagine when you have over 750 women out over the course of a month, you are moving things along at a greater pace.
Even though they don't know what the fuck they're doing all the time.
I wouldn't have a clue, but
that's what we're here to teach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just teach me,
That's right,
give me the string chalky
How to use
thing.
a gecko.
That's right. How to use a gecko, how to swing a hammer, how to use a chalk line. These are all skills that are, people walk away with at the end of their build experience.
Well, here we go. So takeaway number 1 is let's look up this volunteer opportunity, right, with Habitat, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that, you said a few minutes ago that you were going to be a historian or maybe teach history, and I know history is still super important to you. Can you back up a little bit and tell us about why is there inequality in our housing in America? And where does all of this kind of come from?
Yeah, it's kind of maddening, to be honest.
It is maddening.
I think a lot of us think that we all have equal opportunity to buying a home, to affordable home, to home ownership, building generational wealth, but we're not actually on a level playing field. There are many people who have had access to lending products and many different tools to achieve home ownership. But there's a whole bunch in our society, a whole bunch of people who've been negatively impacted by laws that we put in place as a nation that kept people out of home ownership.
Like what?
So you think of like the GI Bill. We had young men coming back from World War II, and they were able to get access to affordable loans, except it was made available to white men, but not black men. So things such as that, laws were put in place that kept people getting access to capital. There were things like redlining. Folks may have heard about redlining before, where neighborhoods, like red lines, were literally put around neighborhoods where our financial institutions would not lend into those communities. So you're not able to build new homes. You're not able to help people get mortgages.
A great book for that, Linda Gartz's book, Redlined, talks about Chicago's redlining.
Yeah, I would add on to that. Another great book is Richard Rothstein's The Color of Law. And if you want a book that's going to make you mad, read that book, because it talks about all the different things that we've done in the United States to create unequal communities.
I got mad when you were just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women weren't you couldn't get a credit card until 1975.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. Isn't that crazy?
So we actually kind of set up the system to keep people out.
We did.
know?
We did. And we did it in a number of different ways. There were a number of tools and policies put in place that created this environment. So when people look at neighborhoods or they look at communities and they say, oh, that neighborhood, I'd like to be able to strike from our language the concept of a bad neighborhood, because first of all, there is no such thing as a bad neighborhood. But people will say that, oh, that's a bad neighborhood, or you shouldn't, or they'll imply you shouldn't go there. Well, the reality is there's incredible people who live in all sorts of communities all across Chicago and the Chicago region. Secondly, there is inequity there. And so it's our job to see the light of day, understand what created the environment that we're now living in, and then work to make it better. And that's where things like women build, women coming together for other women. All of this is all about making the moves towards creating that more equitable society.
And it's amazing, Liz, when you're on site and you're actually working side by side with the homeowner to be, because it's more
that'd
than
be cool.
Because these women, they get training, they have to work on the job site. And that first year when I first started working side by side with Joyce Miller, and she took me through her home and showed me where her son was going to live and what she was going to put into that home. It changed my world forever, right? And it changed her world. And what she was talking about was community. She was going to change her community because she was creating a place for people to come and gather.
Well, I think you've just hit on a huge point that you're not really just building a home and putting somebody in a home. You're putting someone in a community so they can finally feel as though they're part of something bigger and more meaningful. So I love that idea is not lost on anyone.
Yeah, and you're building. We're building with. So we build with the buyers. We build with the community. It is not about us at the end of the day. It's about the neighbors and the neighborhood. And how do we support? I like to think of it as like we're a tool in their toolbox. So what are the tools that help to create a healthy neighborhood? Better housing, people coming together to connect with each other, to work on solving for what they want for their community. And so we're a tool in their toolbox to help them advance a healthy neighborhood.
But we also, for those of us who get to work with, not for, we also get to develop new skills and sharpen our tool belts, right? Like teaching people how to do fundraising, right? Because each one of the team members on the team has to should be raising a minimum of $800 with a team raise of $8,000. And there's a competition going because I know that I'm going to Amy Bilton, watch out, right? She's one of the top fundraisers every year. But it's really interesting for us to learn how to fundraise for an important cause like this.
Well, tell us a little bit about that because I wouldn't have the first clue.
So what I would say that some of the learnings that I've gotten from working with you all, one is I never stop asking. And I am not there to have any judgment about who's going to contribute and who isn't. My job is to ask. And most people, when people ask me to support something that they're passionate about, I want to. It's a gift I get to give, number one. And I would, and so it's an opportunity for me to give. But a lot of times for us, especially as women, I think, find it really hard to ask for that. We ask how to ask for the money. And learning how to do it for Women Build and for this community, I think is a skill set that then can get translated into our own businesses.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's really beginning to understand your worth. It's beginning to understand fundraising, and it's beginning to and also being committed to the community. I've learned, thank you for everything that you've taught me and for widening my world.
Well, it's a joy. And I think that's so often when we think about asking for money, whether it's for our business or for fundraising, we think it's about me, it's about me. No, it's about something I deeply care about and something that's contributing to making a better world. And I invite you to that. You may have other things that you're interested in supporting. Wonderful. But I would love to bring you into my world and help you learn a little bit more about what we're doing. And hopefully you join in.
Yeah,
if it's not for you, that's okay too.
A couple of big thoughts that I think our listeners will be super interested in is, so you want to volunteer. Maybe there's another layer that would involve fundraising. But to Dorothy's point, you're not going out and asking for tens of thousands of dollars, right? You just, as an individual, you're just looking for maybe $800. So that's kind of just micro giving.
It
you
is
know, if all your
micro-giving.
friends and family chip in a little here and there, you'll be there in no time, right? So don't shirk the responsibility, I think was a big takeaway that I was thinking, you know, while you were both talking about this issue.
Yeah. And this day and age, so many people are asking in this environment, in the chaotic place that we live at the moment, what can I do to make a difference? How can I help? I can't help. I can't do anything. The truth is, we can, and we just need to realize and open ourselves up to the opportunities that are before us, like what Jen and her team provide us.
Right. And even asking for a little bit of money is just kind of like step one, right? Because you're absolutely right, Dorothy. If I can get over my fear of asking for money, I'm not going to be afraid to ask for anything. I mean, talk about showing up and saying yes, you know?
I wish I could be Melinda Gates or Mackenzie Scott and have millions, billions to give away. But when someone, I think it's, I also use this as an opportunity to teach my children, my nieces and nephews about philanthropic giving.
There you go.
This is when it has to happen, right? Because you all have so much. All right, so you don't have an extra Starbucks a month or whatever it is. I mean, that's it, right?
You'll
That's
make
as
it
well.
work.
You can make it work,
Yeah.
right? Even if you give $10 towards this this initiative, it doesn't matter. It all goes to building homes for women who have families, and it's amazing.
And it adds up, right? I mean, I had an aunt, and when she passed away, I was, you know, just helping go through all of her things. And she had boxes and boxes and boxes of receipts from the checks that she had written over the years. And there was $10 here, $15 there, but it was consistent. And so now I get a lot of joy, even when I'm just giving at those smaller amounts, because I know if I'm consistent, it's going to be meaningful. Yeah. So it's a great place to start.
Yeah, I love that. I think to build on the consistency message too is when I give, I typically try to give like on a monthly giving, partly
That's so
because
smart.
it breaks it down. So like people are like, I can't give $1,000. Well, most people aren't going to write $1,000 check. But if you break that down, you know,
Right.
you're at $1,000 easily over the course of the year, you know, with $90 a month, you know, $93 a month, you're there. You know, it's super easy to get there.
I think it's
So-
83,
Is it
33.
I don't, you know, math. This is why I'm not a mathematician. But yeah, but it's just, you know, and it is like, you know, equivalent like of what you pay, like maybe even, you know, less than what you pay at Starbucks over the course of a month. So it's really, how do you break it down and make
Consistency,
it easy?
even at
Yeah.
small levels.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you one more story. I was working in New York for a while. And when I first got there, there were quite a bit of homeless, even more so than in the Chicagoland area. And I was talking to an art director at work one day, and I said, what do I do? There's so many homeless people. I'm feeling, you know, like I can't make a difference. And he said, adopt one. And I did. I adopted one at the Port Authority, you know, gave him money as often as I could, kind of on a daily basis. And he noticed and he was grateful. And so even in the smallest of ways from that great piece of advice I got, I was able to make a difference. So
One of my friends suggested, which I've done, and I have cards in my car, $5 McDonald's cards,
aw,
right, to give away, right? Whatever works.
that's nice too.
I think one of the things that I've been really reflecting on this a lot is I went to a community organizing training a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so, and they were talking about the concept of agency, and we have a do we have a crisis in agency, and people feel like they can't do anything. This goes back to like, you can do something. We can do something. We have more power and more ability than we know. We just have to act upon it, make the decision to say, I am going to help this one person. I'm going to make this one opportunity available. And then what rolls from that, what our learnings are, what our engagement is, what relationship we build, just flows from that. And it just leads to a richer life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a little bit of action is all it takes. But let's kind of go back to what you do and what Habitat for Humanity does. And tell us how, you just mentioned community. How many communities have you impacted over the course of your career since you started, this at a very young age?
Well, I think you do international trips with Habitat.
Very
We
cool.
do. Yeah. So just a little bit of scale for Habitat.
Yeah.
So Habitat is a global organization. We're in over 70 countries. In the United States, there's about 900 organizations in the United States, and I'm with Habitat for Humanity Chicago. So I've been here 15 years with this Habitat. But I've also served in Philadelphia. I've moved around a little bit to Texas and back to the Northeast a bit. But I came home. I came home to be in Chicago. I'm from Joliet, and joined the Chicago team about 15 years ago. And the work that we do really is around the home, but it's also around the communities, and it's also around hope. Our mission is to build homes, community, and hope. And that's a global mission. That's not just Chicago. And so often we focus on the home, as we should, because where we lay our head at night is so central to our well-being. At the same time, we have to think about community. And for me, that's incredibly important in Chicago, because it's not just where I put my head at night, which needs to be a safe, sound, decent place. Also, it's, do I know my neighbor, and what's our block like? And do we have a relationship, and do we feel safe in our community? Do we have access to the amenities that we want for ourselves and for our families? And so investing in neighborhoods is the approach that we've taken in Chicago. And so we're at work in 3 different neighborhoods: West Pullman on the far south side, Greater Grand Crossing, which is 71st and South Chicago, just south of Woodlawn, and then Austin on the west side. And so our work in Chicago is deeply rooted in all 3 of those neighborhoods. And we believe in staying in those 3 neighborhoods for years and years. I mean, Dorothy started with us 6 years ago, and we were at work in West Pullman. We've been at work there for 12, 13 years now. We have no intention of leaving West Pullman. And the same is true in Greater Grand Crossing and Austin, because it takes years to build relationship and trust.
Can you quantify some of this work for me? I'm one of those people that just likes to connect the dots in kind of simple ways. How many homes are we talking about in the last 15 years?
So in West Pullman alone, we've done just shy of 50 homes, and we've got a 20-unit townhome development in construction right now. We are in Greater Grand Crossing. We've done 14 homes there, and we've got a swath of land that we're planning for now of what's going to come next. And we just started in Austin for the first time last year. So we've got 3 homes coming to completion this summer, and we've got 4 more that'll be going up there, and we're looking for land. And so that's kind of the home construction aspect of it. We also have other programs that we do, but all around investing in community in the neighborhood.
Explain also the mortgages that these women get, and also working with the city in terms of identifying the land, how that works.
Yeah, so our world is, we are in 2 lanes. So we're the developer. So we acquire the property and secure the resources, raise all the money, the capital.
I never knew that. That's cool.
So we do all of that work. And then we also are the lender. And so we have an affordable homeownership program that provides the education, the community volunteering, and then the loan to the buyer. And those 2 are on parallel tracks, and then they will dovetail when the buyer buys the home from Habitat and has an affordable mortgage.
Oh, this is much bigger than I had anticipated. That's pretty cool.
And the mortgage is a no-interest mortgage, is that right? But like a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah, 30-year affordable mortgage. Yeah. And so what makes it affordable is the fact that we don't charge interest as Habitat for Humanity. We are looking at kind of ways of evolving that, but at the end of the day, it really does matter. The goal is an affordable mortgage, because once you've become a homeowner, we want you to be able to sustain homeownership, right? And so if you've done this huge journey and all of a sudden you can no longer afford it, that's not a win for anybody.
And these aren't cheap homes.
No.
I have to say,
I don't think there's any such thing anymore.
No, I walked into the garage of Joyce Miller's garage. I was like, oh, please, I would love this garage.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so well constructed.
Yeah. The homes that we build should be homes that any one of us should be proud to live in. I mean, that's the bottom line. And that's what I always say to my team. I'm like, it's like any one of us should be ready to walk in and be like, I'm proud of this home. I would live here. And that needs to be the standard that we apply. But yes, we raise all the money, we build the homes, we build with our incredible construction team that leads volunteers in building the homes, and then we work with subcontractors on the mechanicals, plumbing, electrical, et cetera. So,
and it also sounds like you help these prospective homeowners attain skills where they can pay their bills and pay the mortgage, and that has to be a huge piece of the puzzle.
A lot of time, our home buyers have never been part. They don't have a legacy of homeownership in their family, because going back to some of the history that we talked about earlier,
we just talked about,
exactly.
Right.
So if you don't have that history or that legacy within your family, it's what does it mean to own versus rent? And so we want to make sure that that our buyers have the tools to go the distance to sustaining home ownership. And also when you think about how many of us have bought a home and have no idea what went into building the home. So
for sure.
Right. So to be able to be on that journey of like, oh, I know I was there during the framing, or I was there when the drywall went up, or I was there when the roof was going on. And so to be able to have a wider lens of all the work that goes into building a home. And then hopefully, have a little bit more knowledge to be able to sustain that and know like, oh, yeah, I know who to call when there's an issue.
Or how to change the filter for the furnace.
Exactly.
Apparently my furnace filter was at the bottom of my furnace for 5 years after Steve passed away. I thought that's where the furnace filter went. Apparently not. That was just where he was holding the extras. Right. So for 5 years, I didn't change the furnace filter.
Yeah. What a change in your house when it did change, right? I can breathe again.
Well, it's nice that we've got HGTV to kind of help us with some of this education.
Absolutely.
But I think the whole idea of hands-on and go see it for yourself as a volunteer is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it is all about how do we, not only on the front end prepare, but also that they're able to go the distance, and we're not walking away. So if a homeowner they've transitioned from buyer to owner, and the homeowner 5 years in or even a couple months in has a question, they can call us. We're still there. We pick up the phone, we talk to folks, we check in with them. How's it going? We have post purchase classes for the wider community, not just our homeowners. Just how to help everybody to go the distance.
And then you also have the Restore stores. Restore store. Do you know Restores?
No, but tell us about that.
Yeah, Restores. So we have terrific Restores. They're a social enterprise for Habitat. So they are stores open to the public where people can come in and buy new and used building supplies, home goods, furniture, and the like.
Oh, I never knew that.
It's all donated to us, and then we sell it with affordable prices to the general public. And then the idea is that on the back, that'll raise money for our mission. So that's what Restores exist for, is to raise money for the mission. But it's also a great way for if you're cleaning out your house, or, you're rehabbing, you're putting in new cabinets, and your cabinets are still, the ones you're taking out are still in pretty good condition. We can come pick them up and then bring them to our Restore to sell. Or if you've got a couch that's in pretty good condition, we can, get that and bring it to the store. And it keeps things out of landfills. It makes it affordable for other people to get great product. We have 2 stores in Chicago, plus there's a number of Restores out in the greater Chicagoland region and across the nation. So it's a really great place to shop. And I got to tell you, the goods are good.
The goods are good.
Yes.
I purchased stuff there.
Yeah. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
It's also a great volunteering opportunity.
Agreed. Yeah, so people can volunteer on a build site. They can volunteer in Restore. There's any number of ways to support the mission. Yeah.
I'm telling you, you're into way more things than I think any of us ever even imagined, which is great. So I loved the part about what you were both talking about, the whole idea of how important community is. Because I don't know about you, but, you buy a home, you move into a new neighborhood, and hey, you're alone. Unless I start, waving to the neighbors, I'm going to be alone. So tell us a little bit about how you keep connected and connect these homeowners with the community around them?
So a couple things that we do. One, we typically build in multiples. So, on occasion, we've done like fill-in lots and the like, but we really focus on trying to build in multiples so that our home buyers are going through the journey together, so that they're starting to build community as they're on their journey towards homeownership. So that's one way.
Yep.
And the other is we are very deeply, because we're very focused in those three neighborhoods, we're very deeply invested in getting to know community leaders. Who's at work? Who are the block club leaders? Who's the alderman? Making sure we've got relationship with the alderman, block club leaders, people who are leaders but don't actually have an official title, but the people in your neighborhood that like know what's going on, and getting to know those folks on the ground as our team gets to know, so that we can then help facilitate the introductions to our home buyers and homeowners, so that they can start to build a community network of who's who and how do we get involved in what's going on in the neighborhood and build that network of connectivity. So it's pretty cool. It is very time intensive. I mean, it's not just a transaction. It is deeply rooted in like we are in the community. So we attend community events. We go to alderman meetings. We are making sure we invite our homeowners to all, come along with us. If another organization is having a community fair or something, we'll show up and we'll table at it, but we'll also invite our program participants to come to it. So just finding all the different ways of being in the community and in the neighborhood.
Are boots on the ground.
Very much so.
And cute story from this last year in Austin, Ada and what was Natalie?
Yep, Natalie.
Yeah, so Ada and Natalie worked together, right? And as I recall, Ada didn't want to say anything, and Natalie was the talker.
Yep.
But Ada found out about, I think I'm telling this story right, Ada found out about Habitat for Humanity and told her friend, Natalie. And these women are building their houses next door to each other.
Oh, that is great.
Right?
Yeah. It is pretty incredible. And it's also like finding your future neighbor. Like, I want you to live next door to me. And so let's go on this journey together. Yeah. It's pretty powerful.
It's very powerful. And all you had to do was show up and say yes, right?
That's exactly right.
I wanted to kind of come back to that thought because I think it's a good one. So your organization obviously has a lot of opportunity to kind of show up, say yes, and just experience, how big it is. What are some of the other ways that our listeners can just show up and say yes?
I invite people to kind of step outside of their comfort zone. I know that that's sometimes hard to conceive of that, but to think about, if you're in a place where you are, whether you're stuck or you're trying to think about how can I contribute? Maybe you're feeling a little bit frustrated in this moment that we're living in. Look for opportunity to step out and do something that is different than you might normally. And volunteering is an excellent way to do that, because you're already going, whether it be Habitat for Humanity or another organization, you're going with a trusted community or organization that's already doing work in the community. So step out and say, I've never swung a hammer before. Come out and try swinging a hammer. Those are things that if you can just step out and try something new, put yourself in a place where I'm a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but the learning, the growth that comes from that.
And you're going to be surrounded by people that do know how to do that.
That's right.
And I think that's true for almost any organization that you want to volunteer for or be a part of, that there's always going to be other people to show you the ropes. Yeah.
There's an organization, I'm going to butcher it. I think it's called the Monday Club or something like that. And I listened to this guy talking, and he was in a deep depression. And his therapist said, do something for somebody else. Just once a week or once a month. And the truth is that coming out for Habitat, October 22nd is the day I want, by the way.
Okay, all right.
Noted the pill. Coming out and doing something for somebody else shifts your internal dialogue. It takes all of that concentration that we have on ourselves and puts it somewhere else, and it shifts the world.
That's a beautiful thought.
Love that.
Truly.
Yeah, I love that. And it is so easy when we're doom scrolling, right? We're doom scrolling so
Every
much
single
these
friggin'
days,
morning.
right?
I know, but I don't think of it as doom scrolling. It's so exciting. Look at what all these people know and do. And
Well, that and the patriarchy is dying.
Oh,
They're in
yeah.
their death throes.
Right. So getting out there and moving your body, doing something for someone else.
yeah,
It's
And
rich.
being
It's
with a
great.
bunch of women who want to change the world. Hello.
yeah. And you can change it. Small increments,
We
right?
all change it.
And
It's just
even
a
Dorothy's
ripple.
advice of just doing something for somebody else,
Yeah.
that can be life-changing.
It is.
right?
It always is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We never know the impact we're going to have on somebody else. We
No.
don't.
No. And we don't have to either,
No.
right? We can
Yeah.
still just do it without even really understanding,
Yeah.
the whole "it's a wonderful life" concept, right?
Yeah. Even if you're paying for the Starbucks for the guy in back of you in the drive-through, you don't know
You never know.
whose life you've changed.
Right. Okay, I am going to switch gears 100% here because I know a little bit about her hobbies, and curling came up.
Indeed.
Now, we all finally really kind of fell in love with curling during the last Winter Olympics, right? But it's something you've been passionate about for years, and you actually feel like you can coordinate it to strategy and leadership. So what are you talking about, Jen?
Everybody should try curling for sure. So
Yeah,
I've
you
been
heard it
curling-
here first.
Yes, I started 20 years ago. It's shocking for me to say I started curling 20 years ago, but it was during an Olympic season, and I went out to what we call a learn to curl, and for 15 minutes to try it out, and the next thing you know, it became a great hobby of mine. So yeah, it's one of those sports that anybody at any age can do. I mean, we've people who are youngins, the kiddos to the teens, the 20s, all the way to I've curled with people into their 80s. So really incredible span in terms of being able to access it as a sport. It's also a team sport. And so it requires communication. There's a ton of strategy to it. We like to call it chess on ice.
Wow.
And so, yes, it's a
Never thought of it like that.
I know.
I just thought it was a broom.
Absolutely. Everybody's like, it's like shuffleboard. No, not like shuffleboard. No disrespect
It's
to
like
the
chess.
shuffleboard fans, but it's more like chess on ice. It's very strategic. And also that there's a whole the aspect of how do you work together as a team to achieve the objectives. And so all of those things are at play during the sport. And it's so funny when things break down, you're playing and something breaks down, you're like, yeah, we didn't communicate well. That's why, and like that's, completely applicable to the sport, completely applicable to the work world, relationships, everything. So I'd also offer the really cool thing about curling is that there's a social aspect to it. So you're on the ice for a couple hours, playing the sport, moving your body in the winter. So that's really good. And then afterwards, you hang out afterwards, and we do what's called broom stacking, where we sit around a table and we have a drink together. And the winners buy the losers the first round, and the losers buy the winners the second round. And you're just able to be together.
Oh, I could
and-
broom stack.
Yes,
I think we'll have to do
all day
that.
long.
Yes, right. So there's a social aspect of like being connected and being in community together. And I tell this story to. I also fundraise for the curling club as well. It's for
What a
Habitat.
surprise.
Shocking, I know. But I was talking to our curling club when we were starting a fundraising campaign. And I shared with folks. I'm like, when I moved back to Chicago, I needed to find an apartment in a community. And I said to the folks at the curling club, first thing I did was, as I was moving back here, I found the curling club. Second thing is I found an apartment. And it was truly in that order because I knew that by joining a curling club, I would immediately start to build a community here. And community is incredibly important, right? In our own local neighborhood and our wider society, being in relationship is so incredibly important to sustaining our well-being. So I encourage, if you're looking for a place to build community and get some exercise, consider
think
curling.
you're
I think that can happen almost anywhere. I mean, I do love the idea of curling just because now we all think, we could do that.
You can.
But, when there was a time I just wanted to get one more hour of exercise in my day, but if I have to spend another hour in the gym, I'm going to blow my brains out. So I joined the Sierra Club to go hiking on the weekends.
Awesome.
And it wasn't just about, hiking. It turned out that was community. like-minded people who just like to be out in nature and to walk and talk. It was fabulous. So I totally get what you're saying.
I feel like you both are talking about creating belonging.
Oh,
I know. I was
way
thinking,
to bring it
there's
back
the connection
to you.
right there. Absolutely.
Right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
How
well,
do
we
that?
do love women belong. You know, I can tease Dorothy, right?
Yes, you can always tease me. You both can.
Well, this has been a fascinating conversation. I can't thank you enough. I think you showed us, you know, how to just show up and say yes all the time. But before we go, right before we came and started talking for real on the podcast, we were talking about you don't have to say yes all the time, right? And that's kind of one of the things I think women need to learn, right? We're not telling you today to show up and say yes to everything, right? So tell us a little bit about that thought.
Well, I think that I guess I would have one thought is that as women, we frequently think that we have to have achieved certain things to show up. And so we hold back at times. And I think that we just need to step out and try. And we are filled with innumerable talents and opportunities before us. And so I think one thing is that even if now is not the right time to say yes, that's okay. But don't discount it either. Maybe try, maybe step out a little bit. Because I do think that we have, I know we have so much to offer. And there's no necessarily right time. The opportunity, you know, if an opportunity presents itself, step out and try it. And that's where we learn. That's where we gain confidence. That's where we get new skills. We build new relationships. And don't let fear hold you back. But at the same time, if now's not the right time, that's A-okay too. Take a beat, think on it, look for other opportunities to try something new, and step out there when that time is right. But I really would love women to step up more, even if we're not quite sure that it's the right moment. Because I do think when we step out there, we find that we really do have the talent, skills, experience, relationships to show up.
I think that message resonates today more than ever, where all of us are looking to, you know, figure out a way to make this world a better place, right? And so sometimes it's just stepping out in a volunteer way, right? Or stepping out to join a curling club. You know, it's one step, and then give yourself the permission to say, okay, I tried, that really wasn't for me, and I'll look for another opportunity.
I think there's something also, you use the word fear. And what I've been playing with the last couple of weeks also is the concept of rules. What are the rules that are unspoken, that I am living by, that I'm not even aware of?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not only fear that keeps me back, it's sometimes the rules. Like, oh, since I'm not good enough, I will not, right? But what are the rules that we are questioning, right? And I think we need to be questioning all the rules.
There you go.
Right?
I think you hit on another podcast topic.
I think so.
You know, because that's like a great conversation that could take us at least another hour to unpack.
Absolutely.
So I wrote it down. Noted. So I just want to thank you again, Jen, for coming today and imparting all of these opportunities and understanding the world of Habitat for Humanity. I'm so excited to have learned how deep it goes. It's really phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you.
Love it. Thank you.
You are so fabulous.
Likewise. It's a good group to be in right here.
Right?
So.
Absolutely. And Dorothy, I can't thank you enough. What a great conversation to have you in on. That you and Jen work together all the time and have for like 6 years. But, you know, just because your wisdom and the way that you tell us how to go about thinking about things is really inspiring.
Thank you,
So thank
Liz.
you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is a passion, right?
This is a passion.
A passion for Habitat, a passion for being kick-ass. Like it's our time, ladies.
Yes, it's our time, and we want to pass along all of our wisdom to you. We're going to do it episode after episode. So let's start by sharing this episode with all your friends, okay? Because there's ways you can show up, say yes, change your life, change somebody else's life, and it's easy to do. And we'll keep kicking ass if you promise to keep kicking ass, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.